economy its power? What is it that influences the economies of the nations to greater wealth? These questions motivated Adam Smith in 1776 to write the book The Wealth of Nations. He was a professor at the University of Glasgow in Scotland, whose lectures in logic were focused on commerce and trade. Adam Smith is referred to as the father of modern capitalism and economics. The book is a collection of his lectures. I am convinced that every politician and business owner should secure a copy of this book. The chapters in the book are excellent for business principles and reference concepts in a simple way. As you read its pages, it feels like you are touching the principles of the free market economy. Grasping the magnitude of his theories is a more important step. When you measure the time value of historical knowledge, 1776 was a very good year in the foundation of free market principles, and the original and processional business and political leaders of the United States of America applied these principles. The wealthier areas of the world became that way by exercising the concepts of the wealth of nations: Europe, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore. Japan is an island with very few natural resources. However, investigating the way prosperity occurred in that nation, the origin was in the 1860s, where their economy was built on free trade, regardless of the amount of resources they had. The only pattern they used was the government of the United Kingdom, which patterned free trade after Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell, the USSR was permanently dissolved. Communism was dissipated in that nation. Trade among those nations was enhanced. The collective abundance is increased by the ability of market participants to negotiate freely for goods, services, and resources. The market improves through its own internal development. The full scope of Adam Smith's work in The Wealth of Nations fits the definition of principle in every sense of the word. Definition 1 for principle: an accepted or professed rule of action or conduct. 2. A fundamental, primary, or general law or truth from which others are derived. 3. A fundamental doctrine or tenet, a distinctive ruling opinion. Adam Smith's rules of action or conduct in the markets is this. 1. Each participant selling goods and services will try to maximize their own interests. 2. They will maximize the number of market participants. And 3. They will exchange goods and services for mutual benefit or mutual gain. This is the chain of mutual gain. If you saw a magazine, billboard, or television ads that say economicconfidence.me.us.biz, or economicwisdom.me.us.biz, or economiccourage.me.us.biz, .me.us.biz is the equation for the chain of mutual gain. In this book, on the domain name ads on the net and in the newspapers, it is not economicconfidence.me. It is economic confidence at the point of my interests. Economic confidence at the point of us, or US, maximizing the number of market participants in capitalism. And economic confidence at the point of business transactions for mutual gain. My advertising is my first memory device to help you remember this root equation of capitalism. Now that you have seen it, you can always remember the chain of mutual gain by the 3-word phrase, me, us, biz. Why economic confidence at the point of my interests? Let's analyze each section. Section 1. Participants in the market will act in their own interests. This applies to consumers and suppliers. This is among the many reasons that individuals act in their own interests. This analogy was given to me by my friend, Carrie Baer, the author of Prosperity Aerobics. Okay, I have a deal for you. I will give you all the money in the world for the right to take away your breath. This is not a good deal, because people hold their own lives as priceless. There is no price for it. There is no chart for it. It cannot be measured. Its breadth is infinity. Have you ever heard of the phrase of infinite value? It is the value that cannot be measured. People esteem themselves and their consciousness and their loved ones as priceless. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we all have time invested in ourselves. We all have our own interests and our own ambitions during the time we have on this earth, and we all need to take the time to list and define them. You will want to keep a notebook or a journal to define your interests, and if you are planning a business, make certain the markets and areas of mutual gains of your business are clearly defined. We will discuss this in Chapter 6. Remember this also about the first postulate of Adam Smith's theory, that negotiation starts at the interests of the individual. In other words, the first postulate is where negotiation occurs, at the point of understanding the interests of the participants in the market, which brings us to postulate 2, maximizing the number of market participants. Companies will increase their income based on the number of clients or the number of buyers. The number of people involved in capitalism has already increased worldwide. The number of market participants worldwide is greater than it has ever been. We must know that our business plans must include understanding international markets. We have to get over our fears of charging the international market. Postulate 3 in the chain of mutual gain, the exchange of goods and services for mutual benefit. This is the position of grace in the markets. We must trust the group on the other side of the exchange of goods and services in order for the transactions to proceed, and there should be good fortune for both sides. Mutual benefit is a win-win scenario, and it's a big part of authentic capitalism. There should be a good fit for both sides of the transaction. Understand this, that mutual gain can be achieved in the transactions as the buyers and sellers ascertain the interests of the other parties in the transaction. 1/3 of the market equation of the chain of mutual gain is inward focused, on the interests of the person, and 2/3 of the equation is outward focused. The one part is me acting in my own interests, the second part is us increasing the number of market participants, and the third part is biz, seeking transactions for mutual gain. The chain of mutual gain is so powerful a business tool, I have seen it lift people out of potential bankruptcy. A friend of mine I know personally was facing the possibility of filing. Instead, he decided to see if he could learn his lesson by pushing his business stronger. He focused on the second and third steps in the chain of mutual gain. He increased his market base and refined his pricing methods. He learned a great lesson and was later able to buy investment property as he preserved his credit. Economics teachers 40 years after the death of Adam Smith used the term invisible hand to define one postulate of his theories. Essentially, when people act in their own interests, an invisible hand moves the markets to an interdependent good that benefits society. However, business works better when you know the other party is considering 100% of Adam Smith's equation, or the chain of mutual gain. I like to think of it this way, that Postulate 2, increasing the number of market participants, and Postulate 3, intentionally seeking transactions for mutual gain, are still within the area or the realm of personal self-interests. Adam Smith mentioned the results of mutual gain multiple times. In defining the whole equation, I like to consider each participant in the marketplace as a link in the chain of mutual gain. I like rhymes because they help me remember. People acting in their own interests are links in the chain of mutual gain. If you are a leader in a corporation, you should analyze, compare, and perform due diligence in areas of every level of management and make certain the plans that you are making are conscientious towards maximizing, preserving, protecting, and keeping the market participants as future customers. In very challenging economic environments, I have seen companies fare better when mutual gains within the markets are focused on. The best marketing consultants have strategies to focus a company's marketing efforts on steps 2 and 3 of the chain. They endeavor to use advertising that increases the number of buyers, making them repeat customers, and they price goods and services to make them affordable to the most people at the point of mutual benefit. They turn a company's marketing materials and advertising to being 97% outward focused on the customers, rather than inwardly focused on the business itself. When does the economy improve? When every business decision, negotiation, and due diligence in every capital industry or business measures their endeavors within the chain of mutual gain. My real estate professor, Sid Rosenberg, at the University of North Florida, taught me the importance of due diligence, and I have used it every day in my career since. Due diligence is the research and investigation of a business or investment opportunity prior to implementing the opportunity or idea. Due diligence occurs prior to the terms of fulfilling a contract. Due diligence means that a person, business, or management within an organization will act within a certain procedure of caution. Due diligence involves a feasibility or possibility study. Is the investment legal? Is it possible? Is it profitable? Is it wise? What are my opportunity costs? What is the cost of the next best opportunity? Is this the best alternative, or is there a better alternative? Due diligence involves brainstorming and deep thinking. Due diligence involves evaluating an enterprise with wisdom and forethought. Good faith transactions are that when negotiations move forward, both parties will act in trust that the business interests outlined in the letter or written proposal will be fulfilled. When a proposal to purchase a business or offer on property is written, there is a clause indicating the willingness of both parties to move forward in good faith. I use the terms interchangeably, so good faith means good confidence or good trust. There must be a certain trust among the business community that we will all act responsibly in matters of due diligence, and that both parties are willing to enter into business in good faith or mutual trust. Mutual gains require mutual confidence. When mutual trust is violated, misanthropy is the result. Misanthropy is mistrust or hatred at the result of prevented expectations. Socrates stated, "Misanthropy develops when without art one puts complete trust in somebody, thinking the person absolutely true and sound and reliable, and then a little later discovers him to be bad and unreliable." Show me violations of Adam Smith's economic theories in business, and I can show you a group of people who have been affected with misanthropy. Misanthropy in transactions happens when a business or individual, acting in their own interests, harms, cheats, and intentionally lies to the market participants for their own personal gain. Lies, lies, more lies involving people in lies, false statistics, bad habits, bad ideas, fly-by-night decisions, without proper evaluation to the core fundamentals of capitalism, weigh against the markets. Don't let the full equation of capitalist growth be tainted, and don't let it evade you. Let the principles of economics have full expression in your business. If you ask a business student to explain the invisible hand theory and they say, "Oh yeah, businesses and people should act in their own self-interests, create a lot of monkey business. They need to stay in school before going into business. We all need to get the remaining 66% of the equation right." If you find someone in your organization that can quote all 3 lines, me, us, biz, and apply it to your company mission statement, increase the depth of your company by increasing your markets and seeking mutual gain for you and your customers, that person is your promotion candidate for key business. It is a choice between the Adam Smith doctrine versus Machiavellianism. Machiavelli wrote the book The Prince in the 1500s, which instructed dictators and monarchs how to be tyrannical. The term "the ends justify the means" originated from the book The Prince. It is a blunder in business to deviate from the principles of capitalism. The number of market participants must be maximized rather than treated like they are the greater fools. The person that applied for their mortgage may have lied on their application. The mortgage broker may have lied to the applicant. The company bundled the bad mortgages into a portfolio with 80% of the loans being bad, of which the mortgage company sold to an investment firm because they clearly are the greater fools. As the responsibility for loans is passed to them, the consumer is left with the tyranny of too much debt. How could this happen? Compliance pressures based on bad ideas from upper-level management can creep into an organization. I don't believe in too big to fail, but this is a clear example of so big that they steer the economy downward when they violate key principles. Ponzi schemes, mortgage fraud, white-collar crime, irrational lending is all monkey business. Social Darwinism defined is the survival of the fittest as it applies to businesses. The leverage put both banks and businesses into the arena of survival of the financially fit. Essentially, this means that those who can continue to do business do so under harder lending conditions. If a company is to overcome social Darwinism and maintain business with a great amount of debt, they must compensate by implementing steps 2 and 3 of the chain of mutual gain. They must, 2, maximize the number of market participants by winning new clients and aggressively seeking new accounts. And 3, they must seek transactions for mutual gain, win-win situations for their income and additional capital. Remember the reasons for the right and intelligent use of credit. Credit extended by banks or private lenders is based on the lender's faith in the abilities and record of financial performance of you or your organization. The bank can give you credit, but it's you, your creative business, and the transactions that are generated in the marketplace with the credit that turns credit into value. Value is created in the chain of mutual gain. Let's make this clear. If a bank refuses to lend to companies or individuals, even based on the intelligent use of credit, resourceful, intelligent, and creative entrepreneurs will generate capital from the internal working of their organization. They will create value by the intelligent use and reinvestment of capital in the markets. The companies may grow slowly, but they will be built on their own perpetuating development. The future of business, the leadership positions of the future, belong to the determined and trustworthy. Those responsible to align those endeavors with sound economic doctrines will succeed. A phrase on the back of the dollar bill states, "Annuit coeptis," which interpreted is, "God has favored our undertakings." Trust is such an important word that they inscribed it on the U.S. currency. In God we trust. The word trust and true have the same root word, meaning good faith. Trust is so important that if within your frame of reference you don't see the trusted business leader, you better be a trusted business leader. To err is human, to forgive divine, but before you embark on your quest to expand your business into international markets, remember this anthropological link. Of the 6 major religions of the world, they all share this in common. They all have a method of practicing forgiveness among people for their mistakes. This is important to know when you are negotiating an international business. You will go farther in influence if you understand the customs we have in common. Somewhere along the line, we as humanity figured out that it is easier to make your journey to the future when you let go of the baggage of the past. The wealth of any nation is enhanced by the ability of the economy to have a debt forgiveness mechanism. The concept of debt forgiveness has its inspirational roots in Western religions from the Book of Numbers in the Judeo-Christian Bible. The ancient Israelites celebrated Jubilee every 49 years. Jubilee was a time of debt forgiveness. All mortgages were considered paid, and ownership of land went to the church and then was redistributed back to the original territories of the 12 tribes of Israel. There was a ceremony that represented that God owned everything. There was a sum of all things. The word jubilant means to be happy and joyful, and it comes from the same root word as jubilee. Controlling the debt of a nation is one thing. Controlling the debt of an individual is another issue. When you are in debt, the time value of money works against you. When you are debt-free, the time value of money works in your favor. Overcome your debts. Use your financial obstacles as stepping stones to improve. I ask my clients what they have learned about these business cycles, and most of them say, "In the future, I am approaching business with reduced leverage." In investment, in due diligence, there is a saying, and this is, when the price goes up, leverage goes down, and when the price goes down, leverage goes up. In other words, as investments go up in price, they require higher down payments, or equity positions. A debt-free company will allow the wealth they create through negotiation to be the capital that they compound and reinvest in their businesses. Those entrepreneurs know that they have the ability and the knowledge to create wealth by applying intelligent ideas. These companies have resolved that if they can do business in the future reducing their debt positions, when the financial challenges come, their foundation will be on a rock, and when the financial waves move against it, they will not be moved. The word mortgage comes from the root word mort, meaning dead, and gage, which means pledge. The word means a pledge that is satisfied when it is fully paid. So it takes 30 years for the pledge on a 30-year mortgage to be satisfied. A satisfied mortgage is a pledge that has been fulfilled. The chances are that if someone can keep their mortgage and retain a leasehold beyond the period of the 18-year real estate cycle, or pay off a mortgage with a long-term hold without refinancing, they would be doing pretty well. Much of the potential long-term solutions in real estate value are referenced to in The Wealth of Nations. In the chapter titled Origin and Use of Money, Adam Smith identifies two different meanings of the word value. He defines value in use, the value a product has through its utilization, and value in exchange, the value of a product in its sale or purchase. The coincidence of real estate as an asset is that it has a value in use to the people who live within a house or use a commercial property to operate their business. A landlord who owns a property receives rental according to the value of use to serve the tenant's residential or commercial business requirements. The landlord receives rent based on the value of use to that tenant. The tenant enjoys the value of use of the property. The landlord also enjoys the fact that the tenant is paying their mortgage, and in the future, he maintains the value of exchange. This is why, for those that own properties, many weather the storm by leasing out their properties, and will in the future exercise their right of exchange, and either sell in the future before the next peak in real estate prices, or decide to never sell and keep the property past the point it's paid off for retirement income. An individual can extend their income by the value in use to the tenant, who pays rent until the landlord sells when the value in exchange is more favorable. Everyone needs a job and everyone needs a place to stay. This is the underlying force behind real estate occupancy. The prices of real estate sales and leasing may adjust to equilibrium downward when there is too much of a supply of real estate for sale, and upward when there are several buyers in the market. People choose real estate as a retirement investment because over 20 to 30 years, their rental properties produce the monthly income that pays the mortgage. The property appreciates in value over the years. The owner has equity built up over time, and if he holds the property long enough, he will have a fully paid property with a satisfied mortgage. These are the reasons that real estate will always be a significant investment. A computer has a value in the way that it serves my efficiency and assistance in research and communication. I can't take it down to the grocery store and exchange it for vegetables. It has a greater value of use and a limited value in exchange. Exchange could only occur in a used computer store or online auction. The infrastructure within a town, city, or nation has a value and use. I can drive on the highways, but I can't exchange my interest in the road system. I can borrow a book from the public library, but I have no right to sell it. I only have the right to absorb the knowledge that is in the book. After I have read it, I can return it to the library. My personal library has many books. The information has a very strong value of use to me, and I keep these books for reference. But I'm not interested in selling them for the value of exchange. They have a long-term value of use over time. John Maynard Keynes explained economics in two forms. I'm going to give you a third. Positive economics is defined as the economics of what is, whereas normative economics discusses the way things ought to be. Positive economics deals with economic truth. Normative economics describes the economic ideal. Being positive in economic terms is about the research and assessment of the way things are. The goal is to move the economy to the point where it ought to be, the normative economy. This involves building on the consequences of right actions to improve the future. Due diligence and foresight is needed to see several steps ahead and determine right actions. If you asked me how I think things ought to be, I can imagine quite a bit in my normative economy. Oh, if we could be debt-free, what an economy that would be. High-rises, standing tall, owned without any debt at all. That is normative thinking. The way things ought to be is very objective. In my normative world, the newscasters are announcing the total national equity. Education and knowledge is at an all-time high, among the greatest amount of people. New and additional resources are always being invented and discovered. Innovations have their maximum expression in the marketplace. All exchanges of goods, services, and property are working together towards interdependent good fortune. Capitalism is identified within free trade among all nations. Everything and everybody prospers the economy. Everything and everybody adds to the value and wealth of the economy. Milton Friedman, the Nobel Peace Prize winner for economics in 1976, stated this: "What keeps the economy going is its own internal development." Because Milton Friedman identified the growth of businesses and internal development of the economy to be the reason for growth, I believe there should be a closer measure of economic growth tied to the business owner, entrepreneur, and manager. Ambition economics is the way things could be. Ambition economics studies the measure of the incremental changes in entrepreneurial, managerial, and employee confidence. Ambition economics starts with the individual in the areas of self-government. Entrepreneurship at the core is a person responding with responsibility towards self-governing the operation of their business. Ambition economics involves the conscientious planning and application of decisions based on experience and knowledge to improve the future. It is the leaders in science, innovation, medicine, and business that move us towards the achievement of obtainable goals. It is the business leaders that must face the future. There are those with economic courage to begin companies expressing their innovations and taking risks. The millions of businesses who open their companies, shops, and services at the time the sun goes up in the morning to the next morning, they are responsible for the improvement of the economy. Don't look to the government to alter the economy, because government decisions often restrict it. It is the business leaders who influence the changes in the market and in the economy. Ambition economics states that it is the collective ambition of the individuals and businesses within that economy that hold the reins. They are the ones that really steer the ship. It is the entrepreneur, the manager, the business leaders that puts their shoes on in the morning and moves their feet towards progress. Economic progress occurs when every person continues to make improvements within their collective aspirations. Let's discuss how every person can prosper and add more success to the economy.